Hi folks. Right, I thought we'd start off with an algebra topic this year. These questions always come up as one point questions on the exams, and inevitably we seem to get one out of the group wrong. So let's just make sure we're really confident with these, because once we're really confident with these, it will allow us to do some more complicated ones, which will get us even more points. So first of all, our similar terms, okay, like terms. Remember how we talked about these before? Like terms, okay. So if we've got like terms, these are things like A and A are like terms, we can add them together. A and B, they're not like terms, it's not the same thing, okay. We can't add them together. There's one important place that this does come up a lot, where people get a bit confused. I'm going to write it down here at the bottom so you can see. So x and x squared are not like terms. Not like terms, okay? Because x and x squared aren't the same thing. This is x times x, okay? So if we said x was 2, we'd have 2 here, and this would be 4. They're not the same thing, okay? So x and x squared are not like terms. In the same way, a and a squared are not like terms. B and b squared are not like terms. C cubed and c to the power 42 are not like terms, okay? So that said, we've got a couple of little things here to try. I've got loads of these to practice on. Please take some notes on them, okay? They'll be really helpful. So A add A, we've got one lot of A, here's another one. We've got 2 lots of A all together, okay? The same thing here, one lot of B, another lot of B, and a third lot of B gives us 3 lots of B all together. 2C add C. Now, be careful here, a lot of people try and put 2C squared. We've got 2 C's here, and we've got 1 C here. We don't write the 1. There is a little imaginary 1 there, but we don't write it because it's kind of assumed it's there, okay, because we've written the C. So 2C add 1C is 3C. 4D plus 2D, 6D. And E, I wrote an F by accident, I forgot my alphabet. E plus 3E. So we've got 1E, and we're adding 3 more of them. We've got 4E, okay? So that's the first page of those. I'm going to send you a load of these to practice, okay? So if you want to watch this, then look at the questions, and if you want to revisit any of these, again, on the video, absolutely fine, do it that way. I'm going to go through a whole variety of them, okay, so you've got them all together. Right then, so negatives, this is where we struggle a little bit sometimes. Okay, so here we've got 7m, and we're taking away 2 m's. So 7m subtract 2m is 5m. 8n subtract 3n is also actually 5n. Well, 5n, not m. Okay, so we've got 8 lots of n, taking away 3 lots of n. 4p minus 6p. Now be really careful here. The thing a lot of people do, they look and go, well, 4 take away 6 is 2. Okay, that's not what the question asks. The question asks you to have 4p, and you're taking away 6p. Okay, be really careful. We actually end up with negative 2p. Okay, again, if you're struggling with that idea of the negative signs, download an app or something onto your phone to practice negative numbers. You will be so grateful for it in the end. It will be helpful. Okay, make all of these things a lot easier. And again, here we've got 3q subtract 4q. Okay, so if we've got on our number line 0 here, 3q is our starting number. Okay, so we'll put it up here at 3. And we're subtracting, we've got subtract that way, plus that way. Okay, and we're subtracting 4. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, which is going to lead us down to negative 1. So it becomes negative 1q. And from what we said before, we don't need to write the 1, okay? So we can actually just leave that as negative q. Okay, the negative's important, but the 1 isn't. Excuse me. Right then, so that's the first 2 pages of those. And they're going to get a little trickier now. Okay, a little trickier. So this time and these tend to be worth 2 points on your exam, okay, so worth doing. I'm going to actually have two different variables in there. So in this top one, we've got x's and y's, okay? And the way we've done these before, and the way that seems to work best, especially when negatives come into play, is like the bubble method. So we put a little bubble around every term, okay? And remembering the sign in front of the term belongs to it, okay? So that's a plus y. This is actually a negative 2x because the sign belongs to the thing after it. Got a plus 2y. Okay, there's no sign here. And the lack of the sign tells us it's positive, okay, because it's 5x. If we put a negative sign, it would be negative 5x, okay, but because it's our leading term, we don't have the sign. If it helps you at this point, you can pop a plus sign in there. That's okay. So now we're going to connect our like terms. So we've got the x's are like terms, and the y's are like terms. If you find it easier to perhaps use different colours for different terms, so for the like terms, so the y's in one colour and the x is in another, brilliant, go ahead and do that, okay. So x and x here, so we've got 5x, subtract 2x, okay, and this will be your first point that you get. 5x subtract 2x is 3x, okay, and then we've got y, remember that's 1y, add 2y, which is 3y. Okay, now I didn't say negative 3y. So because I didn't say negative, we know it's positive, so we pop a plus sign in there. Oh, 3. Plus 3y, okay? Because I didn't say negative, and that's the best way to approach these, okay? If you don't say negative, then it's positive, okay? So it goes with a plus sign. Right, there's one more of these to try. So for this one here, pop a line just to separate them. We've got 6p minus 7q minus 4p minus 3q. Okay, so I'm going to bubble them off. I'm going to use different colours again. So the p's I'm going to do in pink. So I've got 6p and negative 4p. Sign stays with it. And negative 7q and negative 3q. Okay, so they're my like terms. My p's are together, my q's are together. So to join them up, 6p minus 4p, which is 2p, positive 2p. Now, because it's my first term I've written in, I don't need to put the plus sign in, because it's the starting number. And then we've got negative 7q minus 3q. Okay, so back to the number line. We're starting is at negative 7, so that's where we're starting. And we're subtracting 3. So we're going in the negative direction this way by 3. 1, 2, 3, which lands us at negative 10. And because I've said negative 10, then we write it in with a negative sign, so negative 10q. Okay, so because we've landed on a negative, these are joined with a negative sign. Right then, just a couple more now. And these might seem like a step easier in a way. It depends on how you look at them. Now, these are where people go wrong quite commonly, okay, and it's because you look at it and think you've got it, quickly throw an answer in and on to the next question. It's not always the case, okay. A plus A is 2A. X multiplied by X, okay, is X squared. And that's what we've got to be careful with, okay, not to mix the two up. I've got that underneath as well there. X plus X is 2x, okay? They are really important to notice the difference between, okay? Really important. So y times y times y. And we've got y, well, the first two, y times y is y squared, times another y, gives us y cubed. Okay, y to the power 3, so 3 of them and they've been multiplied. Z plus z, I've put that in there kind of a bit like what we've done up there, is actually z to z, okay, to z, because we're adding them. Really be careful with those differences. And this last one, a bit of a mixture here, okay, because I've actually got a times a plus a, okay. So remember BIDMAS, multiplication happens first, so we're going to do this bit before we do any addition, okay. So a times a is a cubed, in fact do this underneath, a cubed plus a, which is from there, equals, okay, now a cubed plus a, because these aren't like terms, remember what we said before, that because this has got a different index, okay, they're not like terms, we can't add them together. So this is actually as simple as it gets. You can't simplify that any further. That is the final answer, okay, when we're simplifying. Don't try and squeeze them all into one term, it's not going to work. Right, I think I might just have one more. Is it one more or two more? Possibly two, actually, just to show all these examples, and then you'll be able to do these yourself. Okay, so 2a multiplied by 3a. First of all, we look at the coefficients. Now remember, coefficient, you wrote this in your books actually not too long ago, is the number in front of. So the coefficient of so the number a here is 2 and the coefficient of a here is 3. So what we've really got is 2 lots of a. So this is actually the same as 2 multiplied by a. Okay, and this is the same as 3 multiplied by a. So you don't have to write this step out every time, but it shows us that we're just multiplying a load of things together, so you can multiply it in whatever order you like. Ideally, I would do 2 times 3 first, because I know that is 6. Okay, and then I'm left with a times a. So we've still got times in the middle there, and a times a is a squared. And then the neater way of writing 6 times a squared is 6a squared. Okay, I'll show you on the next one again, but without this middle step, okay? That is why it works. You don't need to write it out, though. So we multiply the coefficients first, so we get 12. 3 times 4 is 12. And then b times b, which is b squared. Okay, next one down. Now this time it's a little different, because we've got 5 and a 5, but we've also got something here. Now the coefficient of c, in this instance, as we've already said twice already now, is 1. Okay, you don't have to write it in, but the coefficient of c is 1. So we've got 5 times 1. So 5 times 5 is 25, times 1 is still 25. Then c times c is c squared, times by c again is c cubed. Okay, and then we've just got the last one here. So this time we've got coefficient is 6, coefficient is 1, and coefficient is 1. So we get 6 times 1 is 6, times 1 is still 6. So we've got 6 here, and then d times d times d is d cubed. Okay, so there's a few of those. Now I've just got one more set for you to do. I've moved them on quite quickly because you have seen these before. Okay, it's just a bit more practice. Now A, add B, add B, add C. Now the reason I've put these in, if you look at the one below, it's very, very similar, but with multiplying. And it brings us back to the like terms again. Okay, we can only add like terms together. Multiplying, we can do all sorts of other fancy stuff. When we're adding and subtracting, we can only add and subtract together the like terms, okay? So in this case, use your highlighters or your different colour pens if you want. We've got A here, but there's no others. We've got a B here, and it's a plus and a plus B. And we've got C here, okay? And because we're adding, we can only add the ones that are the same. So we're going to get A, that's not going to change, there's only one of those, there's no other blue circles, plus B add B, which is 2B, plus C. That's not going to change because there's nothing else to mix it up with, okay? So that's the answers to that first one. Now for the second one, like terms aren't as much of an issue because, excuse me, because when we're multiplying them together, actually, we can, because they are variables, we can do all sorts of different things because we're multiplying. So we can say A times, well, B times B we know is B squared, times C. But actually we can go even simpler and just omit these multiplication signs, because we know that actually we know if there's two variables next to each other that we're multiplying them. It's one of those little rules in maths, okay? So to make this completely simplified, we have to take out the multiplication signs, okay, and leave it like that. So those two questions look very similar, but they are very different, so just be wary of them. And then just two more to finish off with. So we've got here -2, okay, and this is where we've got to watch out for these negatives. This is like what we did on the last page, but I've put some negatives in, okay? I've got a coefficient of A here, is negative 2. And the coefficient of the a squared is negative 4. Be really careful that you keep those signs with them. Okay, because now we know negative 2 times negative 4 is actually positive 8, because the two negatives multiplying give us the positive number. So be really careful. Okay, and then we're left with a times by a squared, which is a cubed. Okay, remember our laws of indices tell us that if we're multiplying things with the same base, we add the indices. Okay, that's in your books from about 3 months ago now. Okay, and then the last one's down here, the last question. This time we've actually got two different variables, okay, but the same maths applies. So we've got the coefficient of negative 3 and the coefficient of positive 3. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Okay, we've only got one negative, so our answer is negative. And b multiplied by c is quite simply bc. Okay, we can't do anything other than that. Right, there's loads of examples there to see you through. Please make sure you've taken notes on some of them. Visit this video again if you need to, when you're working through your questions. If it's going to help you, by all means do that. And then I will upload some other work for you to do alongside these. Cheers, folks.